Welcome, everybody. How are ya? It's Rhonda here, Rhonda Burns. See, it's me. And welcome to Sexually Speaking today. I have no who is that? Who am I channeling? Oh, it's me. Hey guys, Rhonda Burns here. Keisha Clark here. Sexually Speaking. It's Tuesday. Woohoo! Welcome. It's so good to have you guys with us. If you're live, welcome. If you're new, welcome. Dr. Ruth was like channeling Dr. Ruth. Thanks, Wendy. I love Dr. Ruth. She was awesome.
Oh, she's totally
awesome. If you've never joined us before, you're in for a good time. We never know what's going to show up. We never know what we're going to talk to. But the beauty of Sexually Speaking is that we are willing to have unconventional conversations to unfuck your life. And that's just the way it is. And we're willing to go anywhere, speak to anything, change the energy, play with tools and tips and techniques and processes. And life just gets funner. So how's that?
That's my new favorite word, funner.
Funner.
I love that word.
So good morning, beautiful goddess Keisha. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm so, it's just, we're on like this roller coaster of amazing adventure. So much going on. So I know there's a lot of us who are perceiving that, feeling that, having some very bizarre and cool things occurring in our lives and our bodies. And so I just want to thank you everyone for choosing what you're choosing, for keeping, continuing to choose. I am finding a greatly, my awareness is just totally expanding around so many things right now. So I thank you guys for taking the time to come play with us, and whether you're watching us live or whether you're seeing this as a replay video, thank you. Gosh, what can we bust open today? This is such a different kind of, for me, different kind of topic. How about you? We're talking about breakup sex, makeup sex today. So what does that crack open? I could read our little write-up.
We read it and then we'll see what it brings up and we can totally dive in. Yeah, let's go, baby.
All right, cool. So we have breakup sex, makeup sex. A lot of people experience them as better, hotter, more intense sex. So has that been your experience? If you've experienced one or both of those. And what is it that makes breakup sex and or makeup sex more hot, intense, or better than? So are we doing something different with those encounters that makes them better, or are we fooling ourselves? So that's what we're playing with today. If you've got any breakup sex or makeup sex stories, experiences, questions, awarenesses, pop them into the chat room. All of your little icons will come up when you roll your cursor over the screen, and let us know what you know. This is real different. I have had some of these experiences. How about you, Rhonda?
I think I was dropped off on another planet, or I didn't get this because I never really did this one.
Really?
I'm okay, and today is October 18th. Haven't had copulation or sex with someone else for 10 months now, by choice. So I'm having to look back. Even when I was married, I'm like, did I do that? I don't remember doing that. Like, but of course I had some really interesting views about sex anyway. But I'm like, do I know how to talk to this? Well, sure I do. Maybe not from my personal experience, but I can read energy like a mofo.
Oh, yeah, you can. Absolutely. Yeah, and so what I'm wondering is, there's the question that came up when I was playing with the graphic for this show was, are you fighting for love in all the wrong places? And I was like, we have this really interesting point of view that you have to fight for love, and there was some of that energy of you got to fight for love. And if you're not fighting, then it's not valid, or it's not real, or you haven't got
enough.
So everywhere I've bought into that belief, I'm thinking beyond that right now. Whoop.
Bye. No. So long.
It's like the magazines at the checkout stands, right? It's just,
Yeah, what's funny, Keisha, is you were saying that, and I got the energy of like, what was I being? And the reason I didn't buy into that, I was so in the belief that I had to earn the right to be loved and appreciated, and to for someone, including my husband, to have sex with me, that I always maintained a semblance of peace and order. So like I didn't allow like the rise and fall of, right? Like it always had to be perfect and okay. Does this make sense? Like I just thought how much I forced us not fighting or not allowing fight or stuff to like, do you see how like intense that was? That was my reality.
Yeah. You were fighting you is what it sounds like.
Totally. Like y'all know me. I don't withhold anything, you know. I'm like, oh Lord have mercy. It's a wonder I was able to survive.
This is in your pre-wake up phase, right?
Totally. Oh my God. Holy crap.
Oh my goodness.
So everything that is, I'm just gonna destroy it and create that on behalf of everybody else, including me. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness, my headset's slipping down here. Yeah, there's the experience of this that's kind of waving at me is I had been in this relationship for the better part of a year, and I had actually gone through all kinds of stuff to arrange a surprise birthday party for this person. And the day of the birthday, they broke up with me.
Oh, does it get any better than that?
And I was stunned. This is my pre-wake up phase too. I was stunned. I went into the drama. I was so pissed off. You know, I had arranged with all of his friends, and I'd done all of this stuff. Okay. And on the day of, I get a breakup call. And so there was that adventure.
Wow.
And then, so a couple months later, some things occurred in our collective universe, basically.
Yeah.
That a friend of ours committed suicide, and yes, Lily, the energy's moving. She is just our energy expresser today. That's for any of you who don't know who Lily is. She's my co-pilot in consciousness. So it was close to a holiday season as well, and so there was the breakup phase, and I just kind of had I stayed in my drama for quite a bit. And I guess it was, I think it was right around the new year. So this was like within a couple of months. We do makeup sex and we get back together for another while. And it was really fascinating looking at that now. Yeah. Like when I tap into my awareness, it really was just all about the drama. It was all about these beliefs that we were so desperately wanting to make real, you know. Yeah. And I just remember the makeup sex, and I remember it was like I was buying it at the time. I was totally there, and if I really get honest with me and with all of you guys, yeah. There was a moment that I had an awareness of, this isn't really what I want to choose. Mm. But what I chose was another 3 years of a relationship with this person.
Cute.
Now that's not to make they're not wrong, they're not right. It really was nothing to do with them, actually. It was me trying to fit what I thought I was supposed to do and be and choose into my scenario. And I cannot tell you that it was really fun for the next 3 years. And then the relationship ended in a really uncomfortable way, with me having a physical injury, in fact. Not because of them. It was because of something I had an accident on a water slide. But, you know, it came to just all of this craziness that really, if I apply what I know now, you know, these were sort of those energetic collisions going on in my world because I wasn't choosing what I truly desired. So I wonder if we have this really bizarre, twisted, sort of misidentified and misapplied fantasy about what breakup sex creates and what makeup sex creates. And does it actually add to a relationship? Does anybody have an experience where it has actually added to the relationship?
Well, I get that it could add to the relationship, but I don't know if it's adding generatively and enjoyably. I mean, right? So it's going to add something. And sure. And it's interesting as you were talking, thank you for sharing that. Cause yeah, like I love vulnerability. You know,
You're
that's
welcome.
health. So, as you're talking, and I've really been looking at these concepts in the last few weeks as I'm honing and crafting some speeches, and it's all about expression, right? The unexpressed. And so as you're talking, I'm looking at the energies of breakup sex, and I'm looking at the energies of makeup sex. And there's, right, breakup sex is, well, they're both intensity, right? There's levels of intensity that's greater than other times. And I was like, so what is wanting to be expressed was the question that I was asking myself. And then 5,000 things later in a 2-second span, it's like, oh, so I'm just going to clear all of the ways and means and places and spaces from any lifetime, space, dimension, or reality where we have bought that we must have the component of breakup sex and makeup sex to express the intensities and the energies that we desire, because that's the way it's done. Whatever all of that is, whatever the hell I just said, let's just
wow.
blow that out, destroy and uncreate it. And I'm going to invite you to be willing that if there is an energy that you and your body desire, would you be willing to have it and to choose it and to allow it to show up without having to go through the drama of breakup and makeup sex? If you would like more ease with it. Did any of that make sense? Holy
yes. Yes, I love that. Thank you. You know, and I've heard people talk about how breakup sex is so much better.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
And it is. There's an intensity. It's like those are, and makeup sex for a lot of us. You know, a lot of couples have their big arguments and then they like slam doors, and then, you know, hours or minutes, however later, they come back and then it's, you know, sexy time. And now I have seen couples who like, that's their protocol. Like that is how they are able to, that's like the only way they can really choose it.
Yeah.
And that's like a choice from pressure, very much like what you're talking about. It's like we build this intensity to make ourselves choose something that because we're not otherwise willing to choose it. Like we're not, and I can say this for me, we're not really willing to choose it when with a degree of ease.
Yeah.
So we create, thank you, Lily. We create this intensity. We create these, what's it called? The buildup, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really just a fascinating thing that we choose, you know.
Absolutely.
Humans are fascinating.
And so friends, if this works for you, Keisha and I are not a proponent of you changing what works for you.
Absolutely.
If it works for you, ride that pony all day long and all night too. But if you would like a different possibility, more ease, more space, less, right? If it's not working for you entirely, would you be willing to consider this? And that's why we talk to everything in this regard. Like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. But yeah, so that intensity, like, wow, this is fascinating. There's so much energy here.
I wonder, like, what are we not choosing to say?
Yeah, expression. It's that back to the expression thing.
Mm-hmm.
So truth, what are we not willing to say? I gotta jot
this down. To say.
Lily, tell us what you want.
Lily, what you got, love? Like, yeah, because where do the fights come from? Typically the fights come from whether it's, you know, we've been not choosing to have a conversation for years or hours or months or whatever. The fights tend to come when we haven't been willing to have that conversation or to be in allowance of our partner having a conversation. And so I was looking at, you know, this, I've had some other fight and makeup sex experiences, and the kind of common thread, the common element that I can see is those fights occurred because I was really not being authentically and being present in the relationship. I wasn't being me, and I wasn't being present as me for much of those relationships. Now, in all awareness, I didn't have the tools that I have now.
None of us did, usually.
Yeah, I was really functioning from the very popular myth of if you just compromise and if you just, do X, Y, and Z, then your relationship will work. And that didn't work. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be real. All of us have done the best we can with what we had, what we've been shown and modeled and taught, and right? Like most of us are winging it. Right. And so this is new territory for many of us, and we've learned and we've honed as we've gone along, and we continue to embrace new possibilities and new tools and techniques. And that's why we talk and do what we do, Keisha, because as we learn it and integrate it for ourselves, we pay that forward. We support others with that if they want it. So this isn't to make you wrong for past choices or past ways. Never, ever, ever. We're not about judging any of it. It's just fascinating. And so I would love, so Truth, would it be more fun to dig up all of it and why we do what we do? Or like, let's play with what we can do different, how we can be different, do different, what else is possible, questions we can play with. And as stories come up to support it, awesome. But let's just acknowledge breakup sex and makeup sex is in play, very rooted here in this reality. And so let's ask the question, Truth, as a majority or within your life, does it actually work for you? Truth.
Not for me.
It's heavy. It's like a rock in my gut. So that we know.
Yeah.
So everything that is, and everywhere we've got it, everywhere we're still perpetrating it, everywhere we're still tied into the collective, let's just destroy and uncreate all that. Take a deep breath in.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that shit out.
Ooh, yes, yeah. And I'm very aware as we're like tapping into this, a lot of people have made that the model of how you do relationships.
Yep.
So if that's where you've been taking your cue from, and you want to change that, would you be willing to know that you actually can? You actually can choose different. And what if it does not have to be relevant or relative to what anyone else chooses for themselves?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of us get into sticky territory as well. And everywhere, God, we have this really interesting attachment, or like it's this connection that we've made to being able to have copulation. We can only do that in a relationship, so we have to put up with whatever happens in that relationship to be able to have the copulation, even though, folks, in 99.29% of the cases you probably hate the copulation. OM freaking God. like what are we aware of, right?
Wow.
So everywhere you're fighting to have a relationship that the sex is not fun for you.
OMG.
Holy freaking shooty balls. I mean, this is nuts, guys. Come on. Can we change this now?
Man, yes, please. Done.
That is, now here's, just as I'm tapping into this, my intuitiveness, my awareness here, like that's where we get to play the fantasy of, oh, this is such great sex. And for a lot of people, that breakup sex is all about, we don't have to, we can have that wild abandon and we can be in the throes of the moment. And, you've removed your give a damn about what the other person thinks. And you tend, for a lot of people, that breakup sex tends to be, we're just going at it.
Yeah.
And it's like the parameters of your relationship, or what you were trying to create as your relationship, have kind of gone into suspension for a bit. And you've got a little bit less inhibition. Now, what I also know is that a lot of people I get to talk to, play with, there's another common element that they tend to have breakup sex remorse. and it doesn't necessarily create something joyful in their lives.
True.
So and again, it's like, so everywhere you're fighting to be able to have sex, only to choose sex that isn't fun or generative or nurturing for you, to choose copulation that isn't fun or generative or nurturing for you. Would you be willing to change your choice?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So anything that does not allow you to have your awareness and have your willingness, and actually grow your willingness to really know and choose copulation that works for you in or out of a relationship, what can you be asking now to invite more of that into your world? Universe,
Ooh.
show us the energy of copulation that actually nurtures our body, please.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Wow, mind blown. And so thank you. And as you're talking, gosh, give me one thing. There's like 5 billion things. Like, give me
No.
one thing that I can find to speak to, please. Thank you. The word potency comes up, the word power, right? And so y'all know potency is my game. That's my thing. That's what I love to talk to. It's what I'm really good at, what I have fun with. And you know, if you really go down underneath all the layers of why we don't express and why we put up with shitty sex and copulation and why we tolerate, right? Why we compromise, you keep digging, get down. It's like, because most of us, again, we're not taught, we're not shown, we're not modeled, we're not invited to know how bloody capable and powerful and potent we are, which potency is the capacity to change anything.
Yeah.
It's just being an energy, like the willingness to be the energy. And so when we don't know that it's there and it's in the soil, right? It's down underneath, the roots are there, and we haven't been cultivating that to grow, to get to know it and be familiar with it, then we just do it the way everybody else does it, right? Here comes the compounding. And so when you're willing to start diving in and tapping those roots and growing them, then you start to express yourself more easily and artfully and elegantly sometimes, gracefully sometimes, right?
It's a work in progress.
Right? It's like, let it show out. And for me, and that I'll speak to myself, for myself, is that was my entire life. I didn't know who the hell I was truly or what I was capable of. So I did it like everybody else. I put up with a lot of years of shitty sex. I mean, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I can count on, this is, y'all, I'm going to be 49 next month. Even though I don't look enacted, I don't think, but I can count on 2 hands, 2 of these, the number of times I've had great copulation.
Wow.
Now that's really pretty disappointing, right? But what I know now is I'm like, okay, not woohoo, sad, sorry, boohoo me, screw it. I now know that I have a different choice. I know myself in such a different way and capacity, and the months that I've spent solo, riding solo, I have gotten to know me, the energy of me and the physicality of me. And I know what I enjoy, and I'm willing to articulate that now with a partner in a way and space I would not have been willing to a year ago or 2 years ago, right? So what did it take? It took me claiming, owning, and acknowledging the power and potency of me, and to allow it to show up however it was going to show up, and to not judge. And that's how I got to be where I am today. And I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for future copulation, because I have this mecca of tools and awareness in which to play with, right? So there you go. What else is possible? How does it get any better?
I love that. Golly, you know, it's so, this whole thing is so fascinating. Of course, that's part of what brought us to the point of choosing to have these conversations. It's endlessly fascinating, the choices we make that are motivated in large part by this tendency so many of us have to not actually have a relationship with ourselves, to not have our own awareness of what really works for us and what doesn't, especially when it comes to our bodies and the energies that you and I refer to as all of the energies of sex, which includes copulation and is a whole lot more for those of you who might not have seen us before, talked with us before. So, like, if we weren't playing the game of fighting for love, and if we weren't following the model of you have to get through the hard times to have the good times, wow, that's so freaking heavy. And
my eyes hurt.
This episode has really is really bringing some interesting energy. Lily has never been this talkative or this active during our conversation. So just whenever are you sharing with us, my love? She's like up on the cat thing. She's all over the place. I'm muting myself because she's so vocal today. So just be willing to receive what Lily knows, what Lily can show us. In addition to, what are we aware of that if we were willing to have our awareness, if we were willing to actually acknowledge our awareness, that we could it would begin to shift this, to come out of that, the paradigm that's built upon this myth about sex. Does that land at all?
Mm-hmm.
It's as though we love to fool ourselves with
And
sex.
be fooled.
And be fooled, exactly. Because when you're not willing to have your awareness, you put yourself at the effect of other people's points of view across the board. Thank you, Gary Douglas, for putting that in such succinct words. When you're not willing to be present with you, you kind of get to deal with whatever is flying around in the energetic universe of where you're choosing to play. And that absolutely sets us up for insanity.
Yes.
So what is it about? Yes, love. Come on. What is it about? Wow, are we willing to be in a relationship with ourselves? This is going to sound interesting. Are we willing to be having the sex with ourselves? And for all of you who just went mental and it could only mean masturbation, I'm actually referring to way more than self-pleasuring.
Yep.
So what if we could be willing to have the sex with ourselves and come out of that cycle of fighting with ourselves when we go for however long without choosing what we truly desire? Then we go through that breakup with ourselves because we're so pissed off about the fact that we haven't chosen what we truly desire. We haven't really chosen to honor us. So we break up with us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we get to have that kind of next layer of the onion experience, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be fabulous. It can be wonderful. And yes, that's a model many of us have worked by until we're ready to know there's something else possible and available to us. And what if this is a moment in your life, in our lives, for each of us respectively, that we could now be choosing that and letting that show up for us? What is it like to have sex with ourselves, to have that relationship with ourselves that is honoring, that doesn't require we go through the intensity and tear ourselves into a million pieces, or each other, in this sense, ourselves, in order to have what we can check off the list as a relationship with ourselves.
Yeah, that is beautiful, Keisha. I'm smiling because it's so light. It's just rocking my world. That is so beautiful. And to answer the question, am I willing to, in my head, I'm like, yes, and I am. And this morning is a perfect example. Like, I put out a goofy video. I've been a goofball all morning. Before the shower, I'm in the mirror, butt ass naked, and I'm singing to myself, and I'm touching my boobs, and I'm being a goofball. And I'm like, I'm making love to me. And I'm like, there it is.
Yes.
I'm willing to have a relationship and sex with me, which is the honoring and the nurturing and the caring and the kindness and the playfulness and the joy and the exuberance and the no judgment, like all of it. And I'm just going to claim that, and I'm going to ask you guys to witness this for me. I am having sex with me. That's why my life is so much better than it was a year ago. Holy shit. Choose it too.
And the crowds roar.
Autographs at 12.
I love that so much. Oh my God.
It feels so much better than the other way.
Yeah.
It does. Oh my gosh.
So this takes me back to, really, let's bring all this forward. The energy of the past two conversations in particular that I'm kind of tapping into. Well, the past three, we've got Sex is Like Oxygen, where we had the beautiful Jen Halterman. We have Sex, Magic, and Money, where we got to talk to Suzanne Stauffer and Megan Silito. And in that conversation, we were brought into this lovely question of, are you willing to be the source of your own sexualness? Mm-hmm. And then last week, what we started to tap into with the conversation about sexual potency. And I think it's no surprise that the word potency came up earlier in this conversation. How potent are we willing to be for ourselves?
Beautiful.
And are we willing to allow the sex of us, the sexualness of us, to really be a part of our whole life? Or are we going to do fits and starts? And the fits and starts is, for me, is like the breakup sex, the makeup sex.
Right.
So, wow, like so much more space that I'm perceiving in the possibilities of that.
Wow.
Wow. Now, I'm aware that it is a really popular practice to buy into the conventional way of doing this. And so I kind of get there's some questions rolling around in some people's universe about, well, what if I'm willing to choose that, but the other person isn't?
Mm-hmm.
Willing to be an allowance of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you be willing to do what works for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay. Wow. So much. If you got something, keep going.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to pull this thread.
there's a very interesting energy of I don't want to be alone.
Yeah. Oh. Blah. So everything that is, all the implants and explants and anything else that's been put in place into your life, your body, your reality, your energetic bodies, anything else that has you buying the lie that you're actually alone or ever alone or could be alone, would you be willing to let that go, destroy it and create it in whatever way or shape and form you do?
Yes, yes.
And again, if you're willing to tap into the power and potency and the source of you, the authority of you, you will get to the space of being able to pick and choose at any given moment what you want, who you want, when you want it, how long you want it. And you won't be at the effect of, I mean, I thought I was in that place for a long time. I'm like, I don't want to be alone. And then I was like, well, who the fuck does that belong, right? Who does that belong to? Not who the fuck. Who does that belong to? The collective consciousness, the world, right? Okay, and I just had to I had to follow the bricks and the thread, right? Like, well, what's this? And pull on this and tug on that. And then it's like, I'm like, I actually love being alone, but in solitude or independent. Independent is a greater word. I love being independent. And when I choose to not, be by myself, I go find somebody to be with, whether it's female friendship or companionship or, right? Like, there's such a liberty in that is so different than I have to be with somebody, right? It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And
how many quotes are there about I'd rather be with myself and happy than in a relationship and miserable kind of things,
Yeah.
And how many of us are choosing the inner relationship and miserable? And if it is inconceivable to you, if you happen to have found yourself in this conversation today and it is inconceivable to you to be in a relationship that is actually fun and nurturing and joyful and congenial, compassionate, mutually joyful, if that's inconceivable to you, please know a couple of things. One, if it's inconceivable to you, it will never show up in your relationship.
Right.
Until you're actually willing to allow that it is possible for you. And it doesn't have to be conceivable for you. So what if you can be choosing into something that's inconceivable without knowing what it looks like, feels like, tastes like, sounds like, smells like? And what if that is a way through this door of distraction? The drama we create in our lives and the trauma that occurs in our lives is that byproduct of the train wreck, the molecular train wreck from the fact that we're not choosing what really does light us up. Yeah. And if you're willing to stay in a relationship or a situation of any kind, whatever the relationship is, it's not necessarily about your primary partner kind of relationship. But if you keep yourself in those circumstances, there's no room for the other possibilities to show up to you.
Right.
So if you're trying to figure out how to have a better relationship while you're still only willing to choose to be in the relationship that doesn't work for you, please, please, please just open the door a tiny, tiny little sliver for the possibility that you could be doing this really different.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? Go online, whatever device you have at your disposal, we have millions of ways now to find new information. Google
machine.
I'm a Google fan, Google something. And you know what? You may not even have any clue what to Google. And this is part of what I love about playing with the internet. You might start out looking for, marriage counselor, and then you find a video of a song, and then there's something in the song that takes you to new awareness over here, and then you go look this up, and then you land on somebody's site that's having a retreat, and it's just, you never know. You cannot know cognitively what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, how your deliverance, how your freedom can show up.
Absolutely.
The one thing it cannot show up as is the point of view you're clinging to and trying to make real and true that does not match what you truly desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the universe, as we know, it's a vibrational universe. So if you are saying you want something, but all you're focused on and all you're speaking to and all you're being and doing is the vibration of the thing you don't want, that is what you will vibrate and attract. Yeah. Right? It's only when you are willing to put your whole focus on what you do want, which is the crack in the door, the opening of the window, whatever metaphor you want to use, then it can come in. And I finally got that a while back. It's like, why isn't this stuff showing up? And it was soon as I let go of, it's not showing up yet, it's not happening yet, I don't know how to do that, right? And I finally said, screw it. All I'm focusing on is what I desire. And it's like, poof, everything starts to show up. Some of it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, you're right, Keisha. It's like, you got to focus on what you desire. And I'm going to be a co-author in a book coming up. I'm hoping it'll be released soon. It's a relationship book.
Yeah.
And my chapter is specifically about my two failed marriages. But again, I got to a choice point and I was like, okay, this is not working for me, and I am not going to live anymore if I have to keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I had no idea what my life was going to look like, what I wanted, how I wanted. Like, I knew nothing. Was it? And yet I was like, okay, I'm going for it. And I just threw caution to the wind, and I changed my entire existence by that right there, Keisha, which is going online. Well, Google wasn't as prominent and prevalent back then, but I found my way. I talked to a coach, and then I went to this seminar, right? And then I followed the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And I sit here today a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I would not have it any other way. So yeah, if it's inconceivable to you, friends, look around you, the people who have done it and are doing it and are willing to show you or speak to the possibilities. Because it's up to you, baby. It's an infinite buffet. It is completely up to you.
Yeah.
Preaching over.
Ooh, A to the men, sister. And please, you know what? If you are finding yourself having the tendency to defend something right now, I'm just going to invite you to go there. Defend your position, my love.
Yeah.
Defend it to the hilt, and then email me and tell me what you discover.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I can say that for me in my post-relationship phases, which I've had a few, that was a big thing for me of I'm in some cases when I was like really into my drama stuff, it was like, I'm back alone again, and I'm such a failure, and you need the hoe. And for anybody who's wondering, I'm bouncing because I'm on my green ball today.
Yes,
so I'm like, I'm on the ball. I'm doing a show on the ball. I can actually say I'm on the ball.
You were on the ball.
So what I can say is that here, like in this last 6 months or so, I'm coming to an awareness of, we were not made to do this alone. Okay. And at the same time, I'm aware that does not specifically mean that we have to be constantly connected to one other specific individual. Yeah. And I see the value and the benefit and the creative potential of having those relationships. We're rearing children. Childrens. We have childrens. We love our childrens. And I do love my childrens. But we're bringing up our kids. We are, trying to create our businesses. We're doing our mission, our life work, our whatever. And yes, that cannot be done independently of the rest of the world. Absolutely. And that does not mean that you have to put all of what you truly, what lights you up. That doesn't mean you have to put your choice aside in order to compromise to have what you desire. So everywhere you find yourself defaulting into some sort of compromise, I am inviting you to change that. And I'm not saying don't be willing to work with others. There's a way to create and co-create that doesn't have to be about compromise. There's a real heaviness in the word compromise. Yeah. And that's an energy that's present in breakup sex and makeup sex. Yeah. Like a lot of people go to those things because they're familiar. Or they go to those things because they get to that precipice, and I'm including myself here, we get to that precipice, those moments that, shit gets real when that relationship ends or is on the rocks, and you're standing at that precipice and you're kind of looking out and you're perceiving, most likely, for many of us, because we're so freaking aware, you're perceiving the insanity that is outside that door or beyond that threshold, and you're like, oh, fuck that. No, I'm familiar with this, so I'm just going to hang out here for a while longer. And if that works, cool, awesome, yes, have it, choose it. And if it doesn't work and there's any part of you that says, no, go through the freaking door. If there's any part of you that says, jump off this precipice, honey, please listen to that.
Yes.
And know that the sex gets even better.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so juicy. There were like 12 things that popped in. So let me see if I can find one of them. So one of the ways, and speaking, I love that you reminded us that we're not here to do this alone. It's vital and imperative that you know who you are, what you're about, what your desires are, what your pleasure principles are, right? Like all of that. And in that, would you be willing to build a community or a tribe for yourself of people who have your back, who are your champions? And I know Keisha's one of mine and I'm one of hers, and I have a few other people that are like my inner sanctum. And so no matter what shows up, where I go, what happens, I can reach out if I require any type of support or assistance so that I can maintain my lane and who I am and never have to diminish me for whatever reason, right? And so I would invite you that if you don't have that, would you be willing to start asking, what would it take, universe, for me to create some partnerships, some friendships, some relationships? It could be same sex, other sex, it doesn't matter, but people that will have my back and that will support me as I grow and expand. So that's one thing that I wanted to speak to. And the other thing was, let's say you're in a relationship. Let's speak to the single thing first. So that as a single person, what I know, and we've spoken this before in different formats, but lots of bright, shiny lights today. Focus! The more that I maintain the vibration and essence and who I am calling in my person, right? The person I'm going to get it on with when I'm ready, right? I'm calling that person in. And because I'm maintaining this and I'm expanding this, the person that I'm going to call in is going to be able to hang with that, is going to want to hang with that, and we're going to continue to catalyze one another into, and we're going to do our own thing while we're also doing our together thing. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to speak to that. But if you're with somebody right now, please know that as you choose for you, and you choose more of you, and you choose into greater, things will have to change. I'm not saying you're going to break up. I'm not saying you're going to stay together, but you have to be willing to have things change. So let the other person have what they have and choose what they choose, but you have got to do you. And if you're not willing to do you, then I don't know what your life's going to look like. It may not be very fulfilling. I can't say for you. But again, like if you're not willing to have things change, then you got the status quo all day and all night. So Did that make
Awesome.
sense?
That's, yeah. Well, you just tapped into a huge bubble there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so getting how there's like a ton of people in the world who there's the very popular conclusion that if I change, it means I lose my relationship. What if you allowing yourself to explore what is right and true and real and generative for you actually opens up space in the relationship for your partner, your kids, you know, for you as a family as well, to actually begin to play with more possibilities.
Yeah.
And what if, yeah, it might shift the way you do the logistics of your relationship.
Yeah.
And is that such a bad thing?
There's so much energy out. So I have a really very close to my heart story on this right here, and it won't leave me. So I've got to speak to it. So this is about how aware we really are. So I was at a choice point. This was before Bowen was born. So this was before that. This shit's got to change. I was at another place in my life where, you know, like there just wasn't the fulfillment. And I had all this stuff about me that I didn't like. And so I went to a seminar that was, I think it was a 4 or 5 day seminar at the time. And my friend had gone through it. She's like, oh my God, it's going to rock your world. And my words to her, who I trusted this friend, right? She had my back. I said, what if my marriage dissolves as a result of the changes that I make, right? That's our fear. How much in my awareness did I already know that I was going to be so different that right? Like there was somewhere in my awareness that knew that was a possibility, but I chose it anyway. And so I went in and I played hard in this seminar, and it did change me in my life entirely. And I came back with these tools and with the space of this, and I infused that into my marriage at the time. And that was when we chose to start to try to get pregnant. And I mean, Bowen, he was in my belly within a heartbeat. Like, that was like, this is my one chance. Like, he knew it, right? But here's the thing, friends. I was the new me. I was not going back to the way things were. I was inviting my partner along, and he had a choice. And guess what? He didn't choose. So I kept going. He didn't choose. I was being the space, but then there came for me a point where Bowen was born. And again, after that year, and then I was like, oh, I can't go back, and he won't come forward. So there was a time of about 16, 17 months of me continually progressing and him staying the same, and me going, hey, baby, this is not working. And we did. I chose to divorce, right? But again, the pain to stay was too much. I could not do it. I would have died. So I want you to just acknowledge you're aware. And if you don't run away from the awareness and you're willing to just let it be in the mix, right? That's a possibility, but don't judge it. Don't resist it. Play the game. Every choice you make will show you something else. It will create more awareness. It will open another door, right? I'm not saying it's going to cause a divorce or the breakup of a relationship, but just know it is always a possibility. And my life is greater as a result. I appreciate my relationships. I have a great working relationship with my ex-husband, Bowen's dad. We have a friendship that we could have never have had while we were married. And that's just the truth of it. So it's helped me build and grow. I was willing to lose that relationship. So all that this is bringing up for you, if you're not willing to lose your relationships and your marriages and like everything you're not willing to lose, we go in and create all that.
Man, yes.
Cool. And everything you are not willing to gain by choosing, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Thank you. Holy shite. This is a big topic. I can't believe we're going here, but how does it matter?
I think we've we've tapped a rather large vein here of wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And who'd have thought breakup sex and and you know what? It's like, would you be willing to acknowledge, folks, everywhere you've been kind of bombarded, you know, it's in our music, it's in our literature, it's in our art, it's in everything we have created around our life and living, because you know, all of that we bring that energy of the insanity into so much of what we do in the world of entertainment and in the world of even in business, you know, this whole well, you got to be cutthroat and blah, blah, blah if you're going to get ahead, And it's like, just acknowledge how aware you are and acknowledge how steeped we are in this energy. And what if that does not mean we have to be at the effect of any of that?
Right.
So thank you for sharing that, Rhonda. And I love that part of what you included is that you have a relationship with Bowen's dad that you couldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's part of that inconceivability. Like, could you have known 9-10 years ago, even 2 years ago, that this was going to become a possibility for you?
No, it was not. Yeah, like I was so far out of the realm. Look, I have no idea. But again, choice, action, creation. Like it's a beautiful dance and it's a beautiful symphony. Yeah. It really is. And Bowen is better for it. Like the experiences that he's having and the relatability and what he's seeing and how we parent, and like he's creating his reality in such a way that when he's older, he is a leader and he will be able to lead from a completely different space. So if I take me out of that computation and I focus it on him, like, holy crap, what he's going to build up in his generation. Yes. It just, it infuses and excites me in ways I just can't even speak. That's obviously.
Awesome. And he is amazing. Bowen is, yes.
He's a hot mess too. He comes from good stock in that way.
And here's another thing I love, and this could be a little bit off topic too. And yes, he does come from good stock. How many of our children have no point of view, really and truly, that we have to stay together with our partner? If you're with a partner and there's not really a partnership, guys, gals, what else could we be choosing? So how many of our kids really, they don't really care? Patrina Faba did a fantastic show yesterday morning, which is now up on replay. Her show is Messy Adventures in Living on a2zen.fm. And it was all about, what do our kids know? How aware are they? And for so many of us, we are using our kids as an excuse. And as a kid, my mom tried to do what she could do for me, thinking that that was the best choice. But I got to tell you, folks, I was very aware that it was not fun for her. It was miserable based on the fact that what she was choosing was to put herself in the company of someone who didn't value her, who didn't love her, care for her, who didn't really want to create anything with her.
Yeah.
And so how much do our kids really actually know? How much are they aware of that we're not acknowledging? That if we allowed ourselves to take that out of the equation as the reason to keep ourselves in a place we're not happy, what if choosing what could be a place and space for us to have more of our joy and happiness actually gave more to our kids as well?
Yeah.
And I love what you were saying, Rhonda, because that's a beautiful illustration of
Thank you. And I was 10 and I looked at my mom and my stepdad and I'm in my head, I'm like, why are they together? They don't even like each other. Like they're not nice to each other. They're not kind. Yeah. When they got divorced? After I graduated from college and I was getting married the first time. And I was like, it took you fucking long enough is what I told my mom.
Insanity.
Right? Then I got pissed because I'm like, how dare you stay together? Sorry, we are so off topic.
Oh, we can go here.
I was pissed because we had such a crappy home life. Like it was so non-loving and non-nurturing and it was cold and aesthetic and it just rules. Like it was not enjoyable. And I was pissed that they waited because they thought that was better for their kids. And I laid into my stepdad and my mom. I did. I was like, nah. So again, like, what are we doing to our kids? Really? Yeah. Right? Like,
and there's that lie.
Yep.
That lie energy. And we've mentioned a few times throughout our conversations, when you perceive that lie, how many of us are so aware that there is a lie and it can, it sets me on fire. I mean, when that lie energy's there, I'm just like, I want to eat somebody for lunch.
Not in a good way.
Lie to me, so it's like how would you be willing to acknowledge that? How aware are you? And how aware are your kids.
Yeah.
You know, we know when it's not working. We know when it's a, bullshit and posy show. We know this, guys. So, wow, if you want to choose breakup sex and you want to choose makeup sex, what if you could just choose it because you want to choose it in that moment, and then, like, not make it mean that you have to stay with them forever and ever again.
Yeah.
Not make it mean that just because you chose it, now you suck and you failed and you're horrible. Not make it mean anything other than, oh, this is what I chose. I needed a little exercise and it was fun for me. Hopefully you would be able to say that. And if it wasn't fun, would you be willing to not choose it again? Right?
Yep.
So.
And if there are energies and intensities that take place in breakup and makeup sex that you actually desire and that work for you, would you be willing to claim the energies and intensities and not go through the trauma, drama, and the conflict of doing the actual breakup, makeup, and just freaking choose it and see what shows up when you're like, I'm having the energy of this? It could look like role play. It could be like, hey, baby, you want to play breakup with me? Like, it's a completely different space. Like, that's a potentially new concept, but don't try that. That might be way too much fun.
Oh, it could be just blow your socks off, baby. Yeah, like, would you be willing to choose the intensity of hot sex without having to create a fight to justify it?
Yes.
Holy freaking flippity flap. Guys and gals, did you just notice the energy of that?
Right?
So everywhere you're unwilling to choose the intensity without the fight, would you be willing to go beyond the places that you've bought the point of view that it has to be justified?
Yeah. And when you said that, when you said that, Keisha, I heard the bodies go, yes, please, because y'all don't think about what that fight and flight response does to a nervous system, to your lymphatic. Like, we don't think about what it does to our physical bodies. And so how much does the copulatory act, the getting it on, actually release a lot of that? But the shit stuff that we lock into our bodies, is not kind.
It is not.
If you would like a different relationship with your body, are you willing to look at this? Like, ooh, what is this doing to my physical body? Not just your psyche and your mental and your emotional, right? But like, what's it doing to your physical body? And if it's not working for you, would you be willing to consider something different? I think the body might appreciate that. I know mine sure as shit did when I started talking to her and hearing her, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, body.
Ooh. So if you want breakup and makeup sex just for fun, would you be willing to ask for it?
Yes.
Would you be willing to ask for that?
Yeah.
Just own it. And then, like, what could that add to your relationship rather than destroy it? And if destroying your relationship is actually something that will create greater, be willing to know that. And if everything we're saying in this last 5 minutes is just like, wah, 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 trust that it's like seeping into the little synaptic gaps, and it's like, it's getting there. Okay, it'll absorb into the gray matter. Right now, it's just coming into your energetic universe. And if it resonates at all, you'll feel the ping. You'll feel the ping.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie. Oh my gosh. Thank you, everybody, for bringing your awesomeness to this conversation. Because you know what? We don't get to have these awarenesses without you, without what you bring and what you contribute. And so please, please, please know how grateful we are. And oh my gosh, how much more are we willing to be aware of and claim and own and acknowledge about what we do know about sex and bodies and relationship and joy and yumminess. I think I'm going to do more shows on the green ball.
I like the movement. It's awesome. It's super yummy. And so, friends, here's the deal. This format here, as just Keisha and I talking to you, is just informative and, maybe cracking open some windows and doors for you and considering different possibilities. But if you do require assistance, support, additional facilitation, private facilitation, Keisha and I are available. Like, that's what we do for a living. It's one of the things we do for a living, right? Yep. So if you need some help and support, let us know. Conversationswithkr@gmail.com is the email. You can find Keisha and I on our radio shows each week. I'm on tomorrow, Wednesday morning,
Yes.
10 a.m. Eastern. I'm talking about you're out of hiding. Now what? That'll be a fun one. That's from a listener. And then Keisha's on Fridays at 11 Eastern. What do you know what you're talking about this week?
I got no idea what I'm talking about this week.
It's wide open, baby. If you got an idea for her, send it her way. Right? And friends,
Still
like,
2 more days yet.
yeah, Keisha and I, we pour our hearts and our souls and our into everything. We show up in the world to contribute to you so that you can have more of you. You can have a life you truly desire to have and create. So we're everywhere. Keisha, how many books are you in now?
I'm in 2.
What
I'm
are
a
they called?
contributing author in 2 books. The first is called I'm Having It.
Awesome.
And the second one is called The Power of Releasing Judgment.
And you can find those on
course,
Amazon, correct?
You can find them on Amazon, absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
And
I
Kindle.
will say that as of today, I am now a contributing author in a book called Raise My Doorway to Possibilities. It's 99 cents today, October 18th. Go get that. And the relationship book I mentioned will be coming out. I'll let you guys know as soon as we have the date. And then I'm writing my own. So it's like we pour our hearts out because we desire to contribute, right? So find people that are authentic expressions that desire to support, and I don't like the word serve, but there is a service aspect element to it. And that's how Keisha and I play. So how many ways should we play? Not just us, go find other people that turn you on and rock your world too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Takes a village, babies.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh my gosh. Okay. You know, I just so much gratitude and gratitude for you, my beautiful sister goddess Rhonda. How did we get so lucky to play with all of these amazing people? How did I get so lucky to play with all of you guys? And how does it get even better?
How does it? So what would you like to make up today? What would you like to break up with today?
Yeah.
And what would you like to make up with today? And what would you like to create with today?
And how much intensity can you just be willing to choose to enjoy?
Ooh, rack waves, baby.
Because you're not potent or anything, people.
Nope.
You're not potent or anything. All right, friends. We'll see you back next week.
I won't be here.
To be announced.
I'm out
Yes.
of town. Keisha's
Rhonda's
on solo.
traveling. I'll be here, and I may invite a friend to come play. So just hang out, stay tuned, and we'll be back regardless for more unconventional conversations to unfuck your life as we celebrate all things sex and the sex of everything here on Sexually Speaking.
Love you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.